3 trials are starting this week. Jussie Smollett, Ghislaine Maxwell. I still have not figured out how to pronounce her first name. We're going to go with Ghislaine. Ghislaine Maxwell and Kim Potter. Potter was the officer who accidentally shot Daunte Wright in Minneapolis during a traffic stop. She was trying to arrest him. He fought her. She meant to reach for her taser, but she pulled her gun instead. Just to give you an idea of how this trial is being covered and to kind of review some of the facts of the case, here's the local NBC affiliate talking about, and this is talking about the case and specifically Daunte Wright's family, who had a press conference yesterday, and what they're saying about this.
We are expecting justice. We are not asking for it.
One day before jury selection begins in the manslaughter trial of Kim Potter, dozens of community leaders and families of those killed at the hands of law enforcement stood in solidarity with Daunte Wright's mother, Katie.
Thank everybody for the support.
Back on April 11th, Wright, a 20-year-old black man, was pulled over by Brooklyn Center police officers due to expired tags. Officer Kim Potter pulled out her gun and shot Wright once in the chest, as seen in body camera footage. Potter later said she meant to pull out her taser instead of her gun. Potter now faces first and second-degree manslaughter charges. Defense attorneys argue the shooting was an accident.
Daunte Wright was a student of mine at Edison High School.
George Floyd's girlfriend, Courtney Ross, recalled the day she first heard of Wright's death.
By the time I got home, I found out that that young man, was Daunte Wright. Mind you, Daunte's murder took place during the international trial of my man, George Floyd.
Okay, so there's the trial of Daunte Wright, what his family is saying. And we get the picture, as always, the necessary picture of Daunte Wright, sitting there holding a child, looking very, very innocent. What we should remember is that Daunte Wright, the way the media reports it, is that Daunte Wright was stopped for a traffic violation. And then I think originally the story, it was something, and it's always bogus. Almost all the details you hear about these high-profile police shootings, the initial details are almost always completely bogus. Not even based on reality, but totally bogus. So I think originally we heard something about he was pulled over for an air freshener. So the original story was that he was not only pulled over for it, but shot and executed for having an air freshener in his car. That was the story that made its and as we know, the saying, the lie makes it all the way around the world before the truth can get its pants on. And so that was the lie in that case. While the truth is struggling to get its pants on and get out there, the lie was that he was executed in cold blood for having a little Christmas tree air freshener hanging on his windshield, on his rearview mirror. That was not true at all. He was pulled over for a traffic violation, but then they discovered that he had an open warrant for his arrest. And so that's why they tried to arrest him. Not for a traffic violation, but because he had an open warrant for his arrest. And that's what you do with someone when they have an open warrant for their arrest. Why did he have an open warrant for his arrest? Well, he had it in connection with an incident where he allegedly pointed a gun at a woman and robbed her, attempted to rob her. He also choked her and, according to the victim, stuck his hand down her shirt looking for a wad of cash, which is sexual assault, of course. So he sexually assaulted a woman, pointed a gun at her, and tried to rob her. That's why. That's the crime that lays at the bottom there of that arrest warrant. Now is my opportunity to tell you about this product that I'm really excited about, because anything with sharp, any kind of sharp, I don't know why they let me carry sharp objects around and have them in studio. They probably won't after they see how I do this. But these are the Camikoto knives, which as we get into the holiday season, you're gonna have people over, you're cooking meals and everything. You wanna be able to impress them by waving knives around in their face. No, by just having these knives in the kitchen when you're doing all your cooking. Camikoto taps into more than 800 years of traditional techniques from Honshu, Japan. Each Camikoto knife goes through a rigorous 19-step process that takes several years from start to finish to complete. Because of their single bevel edge, Camikoto knives can achieve an unbelievably sharp edge you just can't get with other knives. It's one of the reasons why when you're using these knives, they're great knives, but you want to practice safety. You want to be very safe when you're using these knives. Camikoto knives are used by several chefs working at Michelin star restaurants. So click the link below or go to camikoto.com/Matt Walsh and use promo code Matt Walsh to save an extra $50 today. So what are they supposed to do? They pull someone over for a traffic violation, find out they have an arrest warrant. This is someone who's committed armed robbery. Are the police supposed to say, well, hey, there's a warrant for your arrest. You're a dangerous person. But, we pulled you over for something else, so we're going to let this one slide, okay? Is that what you think they should do? Well, yeah, that's actually precisely what the defund the police crowd would prefer. They'd prefer to let Daunte Wright go and victimize another woman. This continues that trend, that pattern, which is certainly not a coincidence. It goes far beyond a coincidence when you have this pattern where almost all of the martyrs for BLM, especially in the last couple of years, not only are violent criminals, but in almost every case, specifically, they target women. Women are the targets of their violence. And that was the case for Daunte Wright. So that's why they tried to arrest him. He fought back, and they tried to tase him to bring him in, and she reached for the gun and shot him instead. Now, we know that happened. We know it was a mistake because she says on camera, basically says on camera that it was a mistake and she didn't mean to do it. Legally, I don't know. I don't like her chances in court. I think she's probably going to go to jail. So we'll see. But if it were up to me, if I was on that jury, would I send this woman to jail? No, I would not. I wouldn't send her to jail. I look at this, I put this in a similar category to something like a medical error. A mistake that now there can be medical errors that are made. There can be that are really malpractice, where a doctor or surgeon is being reckless. And if that happens, then you have to litigate it. But there are also hundreds of people or more who die every year, in surgeries and that sort of thing from medical errors where nothing reckless has happened. It's just that this is a life or death situation. Life is hanging in the balance, and sometimes it can go the wrong way. And it's a terrible mistake, but it doesn't mean you put someone in prison for it. So the point is, when you are a wanted felon, an alleged armed robber, and the police are trying to bring you in, and they're trying to use peaceful means to do it, and you start fighting them physically, if a mistake happens in the process of that occurring, where you are physically fighting the cops as a wanted person, a violent felon, if a mistake happened, an error happens, I put that on you. You could have avoided that easily. You deserve to go to jail. That's what should happen to you. You don't have a right to resist and run away. You pointed a gun at a woman and robbed her. You need to face the music. You need to go to, if you fight back because you don't want to face up to what you did, then you are taking your life into your hands. You are putting yourself in a position where really bad things can happen. Like a mistake. And so I put the onus on you. That's how I would see it on a jury. That's what I would argue. But I have no confidence that the jury here will argue the same. Hey, listen, hit the subscribe button. Do it right now. I demand it. And I thank you for your compliance. It is somewhat appreciated.